In your business, if you don't have enough leads, there's a good chance that you're not doing enough promoting. Usually when a business doesn't have enough leads, they're either not doing enough promoting, they're not connecting with enough what I call lead getters, which are the people that can refer your business people or leads. And they're not putting together offers that are strong enough, right? You need to have offers that people, that people feel silly saying no to. And so I'm going to break that down in today's episode.
Welcome to the I Fired My Boss franchise podcast. My name's Dan Claps, founder and CEO of Franchise Playbook, a franchisor platform where we create, own, and operate dynamic franchise brands in the mobile services space. And my life's goal is to help people just like you fire their boss and become a business owner.
And I'm Christian Dadalak, top franchise consultant and co-founder of Real Franchising, a leading franchise consulting firm. And together, we're on a mission to help people fire their boss, hire themselves, and live the American dream through franchise ownership.
Welcome to another episode of the I Fired My Boss podcast. This is your host, Dan Claps. And today I'm going to be really diving into what I've been spending a lot of time on in these episodes. It's all centered around lead generation and in franchising, but really in home services, because that's the space that I sit. If you're listening to this, you know that I'm changing the direction of the podcast. I really have this new goal where I want to put together as much content as I can on what I'm doing, document the journey, share with other home service companies, franchise owners, potential franchise owners, of course, the VOTA system of franchise owners, things that I'm learning as I go that hopefully can help. And what I think is so interesting is as I continue, I realize that almost every time the things that move the needle the most for my business and more importantly, our franchise owners' businesses are the simple but not easy things. There's not a need to do all these crazy things. Most businesses come down to the core of providing a service that solved the problem, doing it better than anyone else, and then doing it over and over. When I think about a business, I think about what problem do you solve and what makes you the best in the world at it. And then just repeating that for as many customers as possible, doing as great of a service as possible. And there's no reason to overcomplicate it. And so when you're scaling a business and you want to get high quality leads, it's important to understand a lot of the frameworks that I'm going to go through here. You need to have a consistent influx of engaged leads to be able to achieve scale. And so some of the key takeaways I'm going to go through at the beginning here, I'll share them with you, and then we'll talk more about them in the podcast, are the significance of having engaged leads. You need to have as many possible people that are interested in learning about your business and are engaged in your solution that can solve their problem. People that are demonstrating a genuine interest to use your service. Engaged leads are really pivotal for converting prospects into paying customers, which we're going to talk about. You have to be able to craft irresistible lead magnets, which is what's going to get the leads into the business, or it's kind of like the bait to catch the fish. And lead magnets that attract engaged leads, the best ones offer value for free or at no cost. The value is so good that people realize that you're the best person to solve their problems. And so an effective lead magnet really should solve a narrow, relevant problem. It should highlight a larger issue that your main product or service can resolve. It should be valuable enough that it could have even been sold independently if you really want to make a great lead magnet. To me, make a lead magnet so good that people get it for free that others would have even charged for it. Make it $1,000 worth of value for free. When you do charge, make it $10,000 worth of value for $1,000. And the examples would be case studies that are really well done that you provide to people for free, diagnostic tools or introductory consultations, giving people something at a substantial discount and then giving them even more service for free. But these lead magnets have to be so good that you almost feel silly giving them away or not charging for them. And the core four lead generation strategies that you hear me talk about is warm outreach, cold outreach, paid advertising. Warm outreach is leveraging existing personal and professional networks and gaining more of them to gain initial client referrals. Content is sharing valuable content to attract and engage potential customers, which is giving out content on your subject. And what people don't realize is it's not about going out there and making a bunch of content. It's about making content specific to the niche that you're in. And it doesn't even matter if you literally fix toilets, but you make content about fixing toilets, but it's the best content there is on that specific topic. It is going to help you grow your business. The more that you can become the domain authority, the authority in that space, or the category king, as they call it, or queen, the more likely you're going to be able to convert more of your leads and more of your traffic. And so sharing valuable content to attract and engage potential customers is really key. And what you should be doing is you should be finding ways to talk about the things that you're passionate about. Like for me, I'm very passionate about lead generation and applying it into home services. And so I'm able to share that with our franchise owners, with other franchise owners, with other home service companies, and giving that value out gives me a ton of opportunity. And so you need to be posting content. You need to be doing cold outreach, which is, setting up machines, automations that reach out to people that can refer you, your business through cold email, through cold calls, direct messages on Instagram or LinkedIn, depending on the space you're in. And then, of course, you got to be doing paid ads, reach a broader audience and generate leads. That's your meta ads, your Instagram ads, right? That's your PPC, your SEO, or really more so your PPC. And your LSA, so important in home services. Google guaranteed most important thing you can do. And you need to really spend a lot of time as a business owner on the warm outreach, which is the going out there and creating relationships. And you'd be surprised as a business owner that the content creation also really does help turn cold leads into warmer business engaged leads because they get to know you more. Another thing I'd like to cover is the rule of 100. I actually just recently learned this rule, which is to amplify lead generation efforts. The rule of 100 is a concept where you spend about 100 minutes a day creating valuable content in your niche, going out there. That doesn't have to necessarily be filming for 100 minutes a day, but you're doing the research, or you're making a podcast, or you're putting the videos together. You're doing something, to make content for your business. It's 100 people you reach out to a day. Right? How many of you are on LinkedIn sending out comments to, property managers and realtors and, people in your business community that you could refer business? How many people are you engaging with? You engaged with 100 a day, Facebook, LinkedIn, everything else. Be blown away by how much that'll compound. And that's investing about $100 a day in advertising campaigns minimum. And this approach aims to maximize outreach and engagement, and therefore increases the likelihood of attracting qualified leads. I'd like to talk about leveraging referrals and partnerships. Referrals and strategic partnerships in lead generation are key. We call them lead getters. And lead getters, you're delivering exceptional value and service to their customers, and they can get you more of them. So, for example, in water restoration, plumbers are a great referral source for us. We make sure that we take care of their leads really well. We pay them well. We pay the salesperson well. We take care of them. What people don't realize when I talk about building relationships in business, I mean that plumber and your family are hanging out on a Saturday night, going to dinner together. You're going to baseball games together. You're actually friends, and leveraging deep, meaningful relationships, and then having more of them. You need to have dozens of them, not just one. And there's so many times with lead generation in your business that it's about doing more of what you're doing that's working, just scaling that. And you need to understand that sometimes the relationships, you can't just assume a relationship's going to stay. You have to nurture that relationship ongoing over and over and over. So let's break down a strategy to get more referrals in your business. Let's say I was in the, trying to think of a space that I could do this with. Let's say I was an architect and I was in the business of helping people get beautiful floor plans. what I would do is I would find another business where my architecture services could add value to that business and be able to be added on as a service that the other business presents, and then doing a rev share with that business. I'll give you an example in my space. A plumber, perfectly legal to pay them a referral fee as long as it's not a percentage. And what we found is not only do we pay the plumber, but the best people in our system, they also pay the salesperson well. I was actually just listening to something recently talking about a different restoration company, one of the biggest in one of the states. And what they were doing is they were going out giving plumbers $1,000 referral, and really any tradesman $1,000 referral. And the salesperson was also getting, well, just for clarity, $1,000 per referral that closes, right? But the salesperson was also getting $500 per referral that closes. And so that salesperson was going out there building as many relationships as possible and building as many relationships as possible and nurturing those relationships to get more referrals to come into their business, right? Knowing that, hey, if I get a lead, a job from a plumber, and I give them $1,000 and I give the salesperson $500, it's still, my average ticket is strong enough that the customer acquisition cost makes sense. And doing it this way allows my salesperson to be super motivated, where they treat their business, your business, like their own business, right? And they're going out there and they're hunting, opportunities. And so you need to make an offer that's so good that people feel silly saying no to it. The other thing you need to think about is when you start to get these leads, it's so important that you go and you craft a sales presentation. You craft a sales presentation that covers all the common objections that you think that they will get, or that that they will give within the sales presentation. So I like to use microbial growth in our business as a great example. You've heard me talk about this. It's something that we sell, which is the removal of, microbial growth or, mold. And when we go to someone's house, when we get a lead at Voda for this type of job, I always try to remind people that they called you to their house. They're serious about getting this done. They don't want the mold in their house. And there's only really a few reasons why when you get to their house, they don't move forward. So some of the 4 or 5 common objections is, one, they didn't know that they don't know if they need to do it. Like they think maybe I could live without it, without getting it done, the service. 2, maybe they can do it themselves. 3, maybe they can get it somewhere else cheaper. 4, what if they do it and it comes back and they have to pay again? And 5, fear of not having enough of a fear of the negatives of not solving it and the positives of solving it. So they don't have what I call foam, right? FOMO is fear of missing out. Foam is fear of mold. They don't have enough fear of the mold that they need to take action and get rid of it. So it really comes down to either they don't think they need to do it right now. Maybe they could do it themselves. Maybe they can get it cheaper somewhere else. What if it doesn't work out? Or, just basically the overall value is missing. And then last is price. Price comes last. Could I get it cheaper? And so what I teach people when you're selling is you get to know their challenges, their issues, you find their pain, and then you provide solutions. What I like to do is I like to find pain, and then I like to think of if you think of it like finding some pain and then throwing a little salt on the wound, meaning exacerbating, getting them to really think about the pain that this issue is causing, and then the pain of not solving it. What will the pain of not solving that look like in 6 months, right? And what will life look like when it is solved in 6 months if they were to take action now? Remember, we're already in their home. They want to do it. They just have to trust you and believe in it enough. And so what we realize is when we sell in the home, we present to people. And I always say I have my framework, which is you come to the home, you build relationship, you build trust. You do that first by complimenting the home. You do that before that by looking proper, smiling, taking your shoes off or putting your booties on, coming in, being well dressed, truck is clean, branded uniform, you go in. Next, you get to know them. You establish yourself as an authority, and you do that by actually listening to them and asking really smart questions about the house. So How long have you been in the home? Are you guys having any trouble breathing? When do you think the mold started? Have you ever had mold before? Any other water issues? Are you having any trouble sleeping? Things like that. And you're gathering information. And then as you go a little bit further, um, you present the solution. But when you present the solution, you present how your solution can help them with the problems they told you about it, and individualizing and personalizing the presentation to their issues and how your solution will solve their personal challenges. And then what you need to be doing is you need to be showing before and afters of customers just like them who you've serviced. You need to be showing the hundreds of 5-star reviews you've accumulated by serving people just like them, and how you're going to be able to get the mold out or microbial growth out of their house and why it's going to work. And then in the presentation, most importantly, you start to cover the objections I talked about that are going to come up. So what you would do is you would say, and by the way, as I, talk with you, and by the way, I'm showing an iPad, I'm showing visuals, I have some type of focal point, which is an iPad when I'm in the home. And I'm saying, look, I know you might think to yourself, like most of my customers, what if you could just do it yourself? Let me tell you the reasons why it doesn't make sense for you to try to do it yourself, why it wouldn't work, why our solution will work. And you're covering what's in their head. And then you move a little bit further along and you're talking about, the need to do it. And you're explaining that, if you, were to think about not doing this, some people, they wait or they want to wait. And what happens is 6 months later, they realize that the mold has tripled in growth and tripled in price. And I hate to see that because unfortunately, the mold is not going to do anything but grow. Right. And so don't think about like putting this off. The more you put it off, the more it's going to cost you. And so I definitely want to help you figure out making sense of doing it today. And you start to kind of smash the objections, right? It's like, do it yourself? No. Not do it. Here's what the pain's going to look like if you don't do it. Here's the solution of what it's going to look like if you do it, right? And then you're tying it back to them. And then they're thinking about, but what if it comes back? And by the way, Mr. Homeowner, don't worry about if this were to come back. I actually offer a mold-free guarantee, which means unless you're, wetting the walls with a hose, this mold isn't going to come back. And if it were to, don't worry, I'll come back. I'll take care of it free charge. That's in the contract. You have a mold-free guarantee. So you're not going to end up paying this once and having to pay for it again. Unless you guys have some crazy water event that hasn't been solved, but it looks like that water event that made the mold has been covered. So you're not going to have to do this again. Don't worry about that. And boom, you're smashing that objection, right? And then you're talking about all these different things, right? So we're covering that they can't do it themselves, why they should do it now, that they can't get the price, that they can't, it's not going to have to do it again. It's a mold free guarantee. And then you talk about the price. And by the way, you might be thinking like, what if you can get this cheaper, right? And you're calling them out on the thing that they're thinking. You're like, look, I wouldn't have over 100 5-star reviews just like this by serving customers just like you without being able to provide the solution at the best possible price. I'm not getting this business off the ground by charging people 3 times what it should be. If somehow you did find it cheaper, I could talk to you and we could price match. But what I can assure you is this is the right price. Okay. And I haven't built this business by overcharging people. And so this is a great price. We'll be able to move forward. We'll be able to get the mold out. Little Johnny will be able to sleep better. Little Lucy will be able to breathe better. You guys will have this mold. You won't end up having to come back and pay for it later because I'm going to take care of it right now. And then move forward, the investment for this is only $3,000. And so let me know how we can get started. If we can start now, and then we'll get going. And it's silence. You deliver the solution. You deliver the investment, which by the way, it's better in home services to say investment versus price and give it's only this price. It's only this investment. And then you wait for them to respond. And now sales always starts at the objections, but if you did a great job, you may have covered all and smashed all those objections. So when the price sheet does come out, they're ready to move forward. If not, they're going to be much further along and your chance of now converting them is going to be much higher because they're a lot closer on the certainty scale of they got to be a 10 out of 10 on all of those objections I talked about. They're closer to like an 8 out of 10 now. And now we just have to do a looping concept, which I'm going to teach you now. And so once you give them the objection, if they give you the objection, you're going to deflect. And you deflect by essentially agreeing with them. Right? If someone says I need to think about it, my response can be absolutely you should think about it. I'll definitely send over more information so you can think about it, talk about it. I'm just curious, the mold's not going anywhere. What is it that you're needing to think about? Are you a little bit skeptical on the price? You're skeptical on if it's going to work, if you need it done? And you're literally calling out like what they're skeptical about, or you're trying to find what you're kind of grasping for what they're worried about. Because what you're doing is you're deflecting, agreeing, and then finding the root problem of why they're actually needing to think about it. Because remember, they called you into their home to get this mold out. The only reason they wouldn't do it would be either one, they don't see the need to do it now. They don't trust that it's going to, not come back, or hopefully you covered that. Or three, they're thinking they can get it cheaper, right? And so what you're going to do is you're going to do a process of looping. And so you're going to deflect, agree, find the root, cover that objection, and then loop the benefit. So it's like, hey, listen, the price, as I mentioned, like I have over 100 5-star reviews. I haven't built this business by overcharging people. I will tell you, like, we do the service in a way that maybe is a little bit more than other people, because I don't know about you, but I don't usually like to go with the lowest price, and I don't usually like to go with the highest price. I usually like to find the home service provider that's in the middle. And I will have to ask you, when was the last time you paid the least amount of money for a service and got the best service? Right? Of course not. The cheapest person may not be doing it right. What I can offer you is a mold-free guarantee, so that you know that if I do this service the right way, I do it once, I do it once the right way, measure twice, cut once kind of concept. I'm going to make sure this mold is out, and then I won't have to come back. And if I did have to come back, it won't cost you anything. You might end up getting somebody for a third of the price, but they're really just not doing the service the right. I've even heard of people leaving, not doing it properly. And so you have to understand is we're doing this to benefit you, and the price has really been figured out in that way. And again, if you don't solve this, my concern is that, not to scare you, but I come back in 3 months and it's 3 times the price. And you have to keep in mind, neglecting this insurance isn't going to cover it. And right now, I wish if I had come back 2 months ago, this would have been maybe even free, but it's now thousands of dollars, right? But I don't want to see it grow into a higher price. And I also want to keep you in mind that right now the home is fine, but this mold is not going, this microbial is not just going to grow outward, it's going to grow inward and essentially, eventually affect the integrity of the home, right? And so neglecting this isn't going to help anybody. If it's really just the price, I can work with you a bit, but talk to me. Is that really the only reason you need to think about it, or is there something else? And then they give you the root of another thing, right? And it's like, hey, again, remember, there's the mold-free guarantee. We're going to be able to get this out of your house in X number of time. You don't have to worry about like their kids or their families, like issues of sleeping or whatever else, that you're having. We're going to be able to take care of this. I do want to help you. So talk to me. Is it really just the price? And they're like, yeah, it's just the price. And now you're going to work on price, and we'll go on a different episode, talk about how you can lower the price in a way that, gets them to move forward. But the first thing I need you to understand is that most times the issues they're having is all centered around one of those 4 or 5 things, and then looping and deflecting, agreeing, finding the root, and then looping the benefits and how it's going to get past that and get them at 10 out of 10 certainty on each of their objections. And this works with anything, right? Anything you're selling, everybody's got common objections. You start to learn those common objections. You learn to present in those in a way that is done in a way that, people are no longer having the objections and they move forward. Think about like an infomercial or like, anything you've ever bought where you don't speak to a salesperson. They have to cover all the common objections in the ad. And then what they do is they tell stories about people who had those same objections and then how the solution solved their issue. And that's what you're going to do. And I'll teach you more of that in more of a sales training type of, podcast. But what I want to leave you with is all of this stuff is simple. It's just not easy to do. Chances are your business, you need to be doing more of the lead getting. You need to be getting more lead getters, which are referral partners, running more ads. Definitely think about the rule of 100 100 minutes of content a day, 100 outreaches a day on your social platforms to people that can influence your business, refer your business, and then at least $100 a day in advertising. But thanks again for joining this episode. If you love the episode, I'm on a mission to get it to 100 5-star reviews. I think we're at like 40 right now. So please do leave the 5-star review button with your finger. Leave a 5-star review or write a review, and we'll see you on the next episode.
You're f***ing fired.
If you want to say those words to your boss, make sure you head on over to ifiredmybosspodcast.com and fill out the form to schedule a no-cost consultation. And if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share with a friend who might also want to fire their boss.